Oh shit!
And we're live. Don't. It's Lucky's Drews.
There we go. I forgot.
It's
I used that one too. So there's a bunch of them I could use too. That I learned about a bunch of live songs I forgot about when we did the live stream.
What resource did you use for that? iTunes?
Yeah, yeah. Go YouTube searching.
Okay.
It's a cool resource for learning. Resource for learning about bands, songs you didn't know about.
Oh gosh, how many? It seems like Live would be one of those bands that would really attract like original anime music videos.
You'd think so, but not. No, it's just live performances and lowercase live performances, and that's it. So, and official vids from Vivo Live. Vivo.
Can you do me a favor and turn my audio down on your side? I'm getting a little bit of echo.
Yeah, because I just turned it up for live.
Yeah, we got to turn it up for live.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we are live. We're online right now. No viewers just yet.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's time for people to trickle in.
Yeah.
For posterity, for the recorded version of this, I'm sorry that this was late. I was doing finals week.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, people have been very understanding about that. Just one of those things. It'd be nice if we could find a more regular way to do it, but there's life considerations and stuff.
It's hard to do a monthly regular thing.
Yeah,
it's hard to know just like, oh, the last blank of the month, like that's always this, because every month is so different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just hanging down at the quad. Hanging out, tossing around the old pigskin, spinning my mortarboard.
They let footballs into Portland?
Shitting on a Letterman jacket. Yeah, man. The go Vicks. It's Vikes, but I always look Vic.
I thought you were Ducks.
No, that's the college football for Eugene.
Okay.
For Oregon State. For Portland State, it's the Vikings.
Okay.
So, and I'm very invested in their thing. What it does mean is that all of the college paraphernalia is all like Viking helmets. So there's like, you see Viking helmets all the time. Like on game days, you'll walk past like 20 or 30 people wearing various Viking helmets.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of fun.
In terms of what's there, pretty much all Ohio State, not the Ohio State, but all Ohio sports teams have incredibly terrible mascots. Like my school was the Bearcat, which I think just to be the most obscure animal.
And to sound like a real fucking hillbilly.
Bearcat?
Yeah, you got a Bearcat scanner. Look at this horrifying mascot we got. How do we drop things in chat in this? I can't remember.
I think you have to do it in
upper
the
left?
like from Google, maybe.
I'm just gonna put it in the group chat.
Okay.
So if in the upper left I hit the chat button, look at this thing.
It's like they kidnapped the guy, the fighting Irish guy from Notre Dame.
Yeah, and he's been stranded on an island for years.
Yeah, well,
I also I love this pose. Like, I've got something to say.
Yeah, well, no, the Vikings came and raided his monastery.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It's like you could just get a bearded guy, and it would probably be like way less terrifying than I look less like a garbage pail kid.
Well, you know what he looks like? He looks like a BioShock NPC. Oh,
you're right. Yeah, he's got that kind of like clay face. To him. Yeah.
Oh, and is he holding a shield? Is that some kind of furry shield?
Yeah, it's just a shield. He doesn't get a weapon; he just gets a shield.
Okay. Well, he's doing that Symphony of the Night run.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, what's funny about the Bearcat? It's like there's no connection to this region whatsoever. It's not like the Kentucky Hills Bearcats, crossing the Ohio River Valley. It's like a Southeast Asian sloth kind of thing.
Why do hillbillies call like a police scanner a Bearcat scanner though?
Really? I've never.
Yeah.
I know bears like bear is a trucker term for police. Like, I've got some bears.
That's probably what it is. That's probably where it started from.
I'm not sure about cats though. That's kind of weird. Like cats, like criminal, like cat burglar, maybe.
Yeah.
Huh.
The Bearcat scanner definitely autocompletes. I didn't just make this up.
Okay.
And you can buy from Amazon a Uniden Bearcat scanner. It's called a Bearcat scanner, man. It's right there in the name. It's a police scanner.
Yeah, I had never heard of any of those.
I was embarrassed for a second because I learned about it because there's a Paul Tompkins character that's like a low rent vigilante from Florida who uses the Bearcat scanner. I was like, oh, is that just him being funny and I'm making an ass out of myself? But no, like it's actually a thing.
Huh. Neat.
Bearcatcanner.com, scanner.com.
A Bearcat scanner darkly?
Yeah. Bearcat scanners from director who makes everybody explode.
What?
The director who did Existence and Scanners.
Oh, I forget who
Pretended or Cronenberg.
Okay. Oh,
Bearcat
yeah.
Scanners from Cronenberg. David Cronenberg. Yeah. That was the joke I was trying to make.
Yeah. I'm a bit embarrassed I forgot Cronenberg directed Scanners.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Scanners, Fly, Existence.
Yeah, Videodrome.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So we've got some questions, a handful of them.
Let's do some questions. Even if this ends up being for posterity, let's get back on the horse.
Yeah. We've got 4 viewers right now though. Hi everybody.
Hey guys.
Yeah. You're watching Duckfeed Live. Thank you so much. Let's jump to one right here. This is Mike Verano with a oh, can you turn me down a little bit? I'm still getting some feedback.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I turn you down too much. I can't hear you. Let me see if I can just position my mic a little bit differently.
Okay, cool.
All right, go ahead and talk.
Okay. In RPGs, do you prefer PCs whose personality is driven entirely by the player, as in Fallout, or PCs that you direct and have key aspects of their personality constant, i.e. Lee from Walking Dead? I love both, but tend to find the latter more narratively engaging.
Yeah, he's asking about WRPGs versus JRPGs, essentially.
Yep.
Like, not entirely. Like, there are WRPGs where you play, like, a specific character, like your Witchers.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, he's asking that. And I like, when I was young, I just played tons of JRPGs, and I really liked that. What are you doing, pop filter? And then as I got older, I liked WRPGs better because having a customizable character, I think, lends itself to a more complex and better system usually.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much I like being able to make. I usually don't role play these games. Like sometimes I will, and I'll do it with just like a vague idea of like I'm a good guy, I'm a shithead. But I like the kind of choices and stuff that usually come along with that. It's very rare that you have a blank slate character that you have a lot of control over their mechanical growth too. Can you think of any examples? I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess The Witcher, but like it's pretty rare.
Yeah, I mean,
like a non-blank slate character, I guess. I mean, like
like latter-day BioWare, I think does that a lot.
Well, in BioWare games, you can make your own guy. Like it is a blank slate. What I mean actually is a non-blank, like a Cecil, like a Final Fantasy, like a protagonist, where you get a lot of control over their growth, but they're a defined character.
I don't know. I honestly don't, especially not in an RPG. Like eventually it becomes irrelevant, like Final Fantasy 12. Kind of like where you can make them into whatever they want. Like they have a starting point, but you draw them in one direction or the other, or they have affinities. Final Fantasy 10 to a certain extent as well.
Yeah, even though that's like more strongly suggests like that has like a stronger affinity.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, for my answer, like in terms of what I prefer, I think I like the non prescriptive main character kind of thing, just because if your main character has a personality and the creator has decided, hey, here's this, it's a story about them, as opposed to things like Fallout, where it becomes a story about either the people that are around you or the world.
Yeah.
And I'm more interested in like in world and mood than actual like, taking ownership over what this person is.
Yeah, like even something like like a game that gets criticized for its choice stuff, like your BioWares, where like people say like, oh, it's actually just kind of a binary choice and it doesn't end up mattering in the end. I would still rather make it than not. You know, like my interest and kind of patience on being taken on kind of a roller coaster ride when it comes to like a RPG has been lessened. And that's one of like the aspects of JRPG fatigue that like I don't think about a lot, but it's true. Like where you know you play, and it's a great game, but you play your Final Fantasy 6 or your Final Fantasy 4. 6 is a bad example because 6 does have some nonlinearity in the back half, but you play like your Final Fantasy 4, and it is a hallway that you're walking down. You know, the entire game, you're not really making choices at very many points in the game, other than like some boss battles that require some like kind of deep strategy. But for the most part, you're just kind of along for the ride. And I would still take the illusion of choice because the question asker Mike mentioned The Walking Dead, where like in the end, having played all the Walking Dead Telltale games, like the choices you make don't actually matter that much in those. Especially the first one, I remember. Like the second one, there's a little bit more impact on the ending. The first one, you just have that one big choice about what you're gonna do, and it didn't have as much impact as I thought it would. Like it was still neat, but it wasn't. You know, and I would still take those minor choices that don't have a huge impact over no choices at all, I think.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're in control of tone, I mean, that's really what you're controlling in Walking Dead or any of those Telltale kind of like latter-day is like, you know, how you're relating or perceiving the world.
Yeah, and that choice is actually like, I mean, it is important. It's just not like, I guess what I mean to clarify, it's not like a plot important choice. It is a tone, or just like it is like a role playing thing. Like I'll role play more in The Walking Dead, like a Telltale adventure game, than I definitely will in a JRPG, and oftentimes more than I will, or more intensely than I will in like a Fallout, because they're entirely about characters. Like Fallout, like I'm always min-maxing a little bit, like, you know, or at least thinking of rewards and thinking of the RPG aspects. But you strip that down to just character, and it's like, well, I know how this person would act. I know how I want to be thought of in this world. I have a stake in it, and it gives you that, like, the ability to express that, which is really cool.
Yeah. Let's see here. We've got one from Brayton, who's done a really good job of filling the box with questions.
Hey, Brayton.
I went to the Portland Gay Men's Chorus performance of ABBA and Queen last night, and it was wonderful. Do you have any favorite ABBA or Queen songs?
Yes. I would have went to that too if Elizabeth wasn't out of town for Max FunCon, because it's like she goes to there. She has a buddy who's in the Portland Gay Men's Chorus, and like she's gone in the past, and it's always been like a portion of the Venn diagram where like typical gay man taste and mine don't intersect. Like the songs of Streisand or something like that, and I don't really care. But I love ABBA and Queen. And then my favorite ABBA song is SOS, and my favorite Queen song is Killer Queen.
Yeah, Killer Queen's pretty good.
Yeah. But probably largely because of Guitar Hero, actually. Like that was the first, like that was so fun on Guitar Hero 2, I think it was on.
It was the first one, actually.
First one, that song was so good.
In the first one. It was a terrible cover in the first one.
Yeah, but it was still just like it's just a really fun song to play. Like it's just really playful and all over the place.
Yeah. I'm kind of like lukewarm on both of these bands, actually. Like ABBA is one of those ones that I just don't have that much exposure to. Like direct, like, oh, I'm listening to ABBA right now. It's more like, oh, this is a song that I hear and I find out that it was written by ABBA. It's kind of like Steve Miller Band in that way. Where you're like, oh, they did that? Okay, cool.
Abracadabra? What? The same guy did the Joker?
Exactly.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, but it's like my answer for that is probably gonna be boring. It's gonna be something like Fernando or Take a Chance on Me, something like that.
Take a Chance is very good.
Yeah. Well, just the fact that they have that tick-a-chat, like that kind of a little bit of like a Music Man kind of thing going on all throughout it.
The ABBA is responsible for one of my all-time favorite quotes about music that I've ever heard. Is that I don't know if this is apocryphal, but like the lead lady of ABBA is quoted as saying, "We don't write our music down because if we can't remember it, how can we expect anyone else to?" And I really like that, like as like a kind of pop first mentality. Like I think that's a really good attitude to have as like for a consummate pop musician.
Yeah. That's pretty good. I mean, also they had to learn it phonetically too. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. As for Queen, it's going to sound weird, but Bicycle Race, actually, I like that a lot. There's a whole bunch of like really bad Queen that I don't like. Like basically my first real exposure to Queen was like through the Mighty Ducks movies.
Okay.
So like We Will Rock You and We Were the Champions, like anything that sounds like it would have been played like right in front of like a high school basketball.
Like Jock Jams?
Yep.
You're not into the Jock Jam Queen? Or you are into the Jock Jam Queen?
What's that?
You are or you're not into the Jock Jam Queen?
I am not into the Jock Jam Queen. Like that wore out its welcome pretty quick.
God, I like the idea of that being a person. Like, all hail the Jock Jam Queen. Like,
she's got I'm just picturing like a big like hairpiece that's nothing but like a marching band tom.
Yeah. Da-na-na-na-na. Hail da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, the Queen. Da-da-da-da.
I'm just picturing her standing on top of the amp car from Mad Max Fury.
Yeah. Except instead of playing like, metal, she just plays, Don't Stop Believing and whatever other songs, Sportsman, or what's that? Like that, I just know that from like the Cubs, when the Cubs were going to win the championship at some point. Don't Stop Believing was everywhere, or Sox, one of the Chicago things.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I would say Bicycle Race. Just because even though I have a lot of affection for the Bohemian Rhapsody scene from Wayne's World, I kind of think that song isn't very good.
It's I'm just sick of it. Like, I really like it. I think it's a good song, but I'm just sick of hearing it.
Yeah. Let's see here. Another question. Let's get one from Sean Franson, who writes in asking, Kate Bishop or Clint Barton?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Hawkeyes, huh? I don't know as much Kate Bishop because I haven't been current with comics. I think that she is the Hawkeye in the Young Avengers.
Yes.
Okay. And I read the first 2 series of Young Avengers and I like them a lot, but I've spent a lot more time with Clint Barton. So I think I like Clint Barton more, but not because further research is needed.
Yeah. She's really good in the Marvel Now run, the Matt Fraction one, but I'm not current on that. I've only read the first volume, the My Life as a Weapon, but they're more like partners in that, as opposed to like which one is a better Hawkeye. Like together they make the best Hawkeye that I've read, but I've not read very much Hawkeye. I like Clint Barton just because he carries more baggage about being like one of the only mundane Avengers. Yeah,
and they've really leaned into that in recent years. They kind of go back and forth between like leaning out of and leaning into that. But I feel bad because I haven't read modern Hawkeye stories. Like, I know that's supposed to be a really good trade. I like Matt Fraction. I just haven't got around to it. So like the last actual Hawkeye I read was like when he died in Avengers Disassembled, which is stupid because that's largely considered to be a really bad story. Like, I don't think it's actually that bad, but it's widely considered to be pretty shit comics, and that's the last Hawkeye I read. So
yeah. Have you read, speaking of Fraction, have you read Sex Criminals?
No. Elizabeth has the first trade of it, but I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I read the first. It was free on Comixology. The first issue was, and it seemed really interesting. I dig the art style a lot.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept that in the wrong hands I could see being very annoying. But I like him as a writer. So
yeah. So the answer is by default Clint Barton, but yeah, Kate's pretty good. Like, I like her.
Also I don't know enough, so I wouldn't want that written on my tombstone.
Yeah.
Like,
let's see here. Murph Murphy writes in saying, I got a Google Cardboard the other day. It's pretty neat, but ultimately useless, mostly due to a lack of content. Then again, it was $5.
Well, I'm going to find out what Google Cardboard is.
I believe Google Cardboard, and correct me if I'm wrong, it is the thing that affixes a smartphone right in front of your face, like that.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
To act as kind of a miniature VR helmet, almost like a hack version of it.
Yeah, I'm checking it out now. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would depend on what you were using it for, I guess. What was the worst question, or was that just a comment that he got the thing?
I read it without seeing if it was a question. I got the Google. Then again, it was $5. Maybe he was trying to get us to talk about this.
I don't know enough about it. I'm sorry not to know more about it. I'm cynical about VR stuff in general, and like, I'm not gonna buy this thing.
I believe that okay, so you buy it, or you can like there are ones that are that are like DIY that are $2.50. It's literally just a cardboard apparatus through which you look at your screen. And
Yeah,
I think that there is like an app or a program that you run that'll split eye to eye on the
yeah.
screen so that you get a little bit of a different view and the binocular distinction from that.
That's what it looks like. Huh. Yeah, no, I don't have an opinion on that. Like, it doesn't seem like the kind of thing I would go out of my way to do. But like, I'm just also not like, I'm not drawn to 3D the same way that like I know a lot of people are. Like, it's
Yeah.
not, yeah.
I'm pretty like that people were surprised that Oculus's kind of announcements were fucking nuts surprises me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Like
well, I think it's because it's, to me, and this is, I don't know, again, I don't know enough about it, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, but like, it seems like a pretty bad move to me. And you're right that people shouldn't have been surprised by it, but maybe it was just the fact that it seems so misguided.
Mhm.
You know, like, I'm not gonna, like, at some point, like, if and correct me if I'm wrong if I haven't kept up with the updates. Like, the main announcement is that it is now a platform and not a accessory or peripheral, right? Like, the idea is that like it is going to be a platform. Is that right?
yeah. I mean that's the direction that they're headed. But in addition to that, like what they're saying is it's going to require a $1,500 computer to run like that,
Okay.
which is a pretty bizarre move for a company owned by Facebook to make.
So it's a platform that you run with your other platform that you bought.
Yeah. So it's like you have the headset that they're putting out like early on next year. That's going to be relatively costly in and of itself, and that has to be driven by its own tech that may or may not be portable with other kinds of headsets.
Okay, and when you say a $1,500 computer, you don't say that as a quality of measure, like a measurement of quality. You say that as a specific computer you have to buy that is $1,500.
It is a measurement of quality. So they're
Okay.
not selling an Oculus console. They're saying like right now, if you parted this computer out or bought one at MSRP, that's what it'll cost, and
It
that's
has
like
to be this nice in order to work with play with our thing. Yeah, that seems really misguided to me. That's very expensive.
Mhm.
And that, it's an understatement. And like, also, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, but
I
it
mean,
doesn't impact me. Like, I'm not, like I said, I'm not the right person to ask because this is not my honey pie.
yeah.
So
Goofy. Very goofy. I'm worried about the fact that every company seems to have their own 3D
yeah,
thing. That just seems to be the recipe for disaster.
it's
Like a
gonna
lot
it's
of
gonna take
wasted
so
development.
yeah before people start designing around it, because
Mhm.
like, so I've used an Oculus on 2 separate occasions,
Yep.
and every single time, one was doing Minecraft, at not at the PRGE but at PAX the year prior,
Mhm.
which was fine because you kind of play that at your own pace. But I was thinking, oh, as soon as like monsters come out, this is going to be a nightmare.
Mhm.
And then one was this demo that was just exploring this villa, and that one definitely worked better. But there are weird disconnects and nausea moments, like little things like, oh, when my head moves, the screen moves, but when my eyes move, it doesn't.
Mhm.
So I can't make micro adjustments in my view. So I'm constantly moving my neck, and it just feels really weird. Like, there are all these little problems with it that like would get in the way of many different kinds of games. I feel like we did in my game and geography class, there was this demo, or they showed a commercial for this place that's like this Oculus VR kind of laser tag game experience where they build the actual set around you that's just like built out of blank walls and cardboard and stuff, but then you wear the headset that projects onto it, the
Yeah.
textures. And the kind of games they were showing for it were really interesting, because one was like, it looked like an Amnesia kind of thing. It's like you walking forward in the dark with a lamp, and I'm like, yes. Like, if I need to be scared, and dread can be expressed through this device. The other one was a shooter, and I was like, oh, like, everything they're showing is just a very narrow hallway, the entire time. The character only ever moves forward, and the enemies don't actually move forward. They just kind of pop out like an old Wild West shooting gallery, because it would have to be that, because as soon as you need any kind of maneuverability, the Oculus is dead in the water. Like,
Yeah.
Again, like I always say this, but like, I can turn my mouse a trillion times faster than I can turn my neck.
Mhm.
You know, so anything where I have to be nimble at all, like, won't work for it.
Mhm.
You know,
So
so
we're gonna get
like,
a bunch more lethal enforcers games.
yeah, exactly. It's gonna be that, which will be fine, but just not that cool to me. Like, that doesn't
Mhm.
seem like those things will work for it. And then for a long time, people are going to try to fit in the most popular genres that there are into it. Like,
Mhm.
there's going to be a lot of bad shooters and a lot of, it's going to be like iOS. Like, when that platform became the thing, and like we just have all these like dual touch shooting games. And I
Mhm.
don't know if you played an FPS on iOS, but they don't
Oh yeah.
work. Like, I don't like them. Like, I don't think they're very fun. And they take those considerations into mind. Like the Game Loft ones, they made their ones are made specifically for it. Like, you don't have to dodge around very much. Like, they are very limited in what you have to do because they know that your mobility is very limited
Yeah.
by the interface.
It just sucks because like it seems like a moonshot for trying to get a bunch of like immersion in it. Like, hey, we're going to put you, you know, use the technology to make you feel like you're in this world, but there's not anything they can do to address those practical concerns. And so you either have to make a game where you're stationary, and thus, you know, you can't say like, oh, this thing is like right here, but I can't reach out, I can't move closer to it, I can't, you know, I can see this space and see that stuff is moving in front of other stuff or whatever, but I can't actually go and engage with it in a way that I could, you know, on a flat screen,
Mm.
you know, that's 10 feet from my face, let alone the fact that you can share that experience with other people too, who are in the same room.
Like, it just, you just want to like, well, that too, like you'll never be able to actually, you know, share it with anybody. Like, what is the, God, oh, that was read a thing. That was one of the reasons why the Virtual Boy died.
Yeah.
Is that it's not a shareable experience. Like, you can't show it off, which has been true with the Oculus. Like, nobody's ever been able to like show a video that really expresses what it's like. And two, if you're in the same room with somebody, it's not fun. Like, it just kills the idea of playing in the same room with other people.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, it just, you think about the things you do in games, like, and how they, you know, we're gonna get a lot of like Crash Bandicoot 3Ds. Like, it's gonna be that kind of sea change, but I feel like it's gonna be a much more difficult and lengthy change. Like, we're not gonna get the Mario 64, like the game that figures out how to do it
Mhm.
for a while. So
Yeah. I don't know.
yeah,
Let's
it's a
see. A
bummer.
little bit. It just, you know, it's a mistake to think that it's a zero sum game, right? Like that's something that other people fall into when they say, oh, there's this game that doesn't cater to my tastes, and that means that there are going to be fewer games that will, right? Because more people are over there making them. Like that's, you know, patently untrue. But what it
Yeah,
feels like an industry as a whole is, especially throwing its weight behind this kind of like technical thing, it's like it feels like a different flavor of, you know, like AAA bloat a little bit.
yeah,
You know, like, oh, if we're throwing all of these resources and making sure that every game looks and feels like this,
yeah.
then there might be, well, again, it's not a zero sum game, but like it's easy to go there in your mind to where you think that this is going to be a distraction.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna hurt me at all.
No.
It's just a bummer that, like, I guess, like, it's just kind of a bummer how much of the conversation is gonna be taken up with it. And
Mhm.
it's not, and when I say bummer, I really just mean mild annoyance. You know?
you can
So
you can skip past it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, Murph actually has a an actual question that's in the comments. Do you guys have any affection for Warcraft or Starcraft?
Yeah.
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 They're really good. I'm one of the monsters who prefers the single player in them to the to multiplayer.
Yeah, me too. That's why we should do one of them for the show at some point.
Yeah.
Me too. I can never do the multiplayer, and the only times I've ever had fun with it were like doing co-op with a friend,
Yeah.
like doing teams. So I don't like any of the multiplayer, but I played all three Warcrafts extensively, and then played a lot of StarCraft 1. I never got around to StarCraft 2 because I
Yeah.
like wizards more than I like spaceships.
Mhm.
But StarCraft is really good. It's a really cool story and really fun. And Warcraft 3 is great. I love that game. Like, that's really fun.
Yeah, StarCraft 2 is really good. I haven't played the Heart of the Swarm or whatever, but Wings of Liberty
Mm.
does a great job. Like the fact that they moved to 3D, they really took advantage of that for the single player, actually being able to make different kinds of maps and things and different kind of like unique challenges. Like there's one map where there's like this poisonous lava that rises and falls, and so you have to move, you know, between high ground and low ground, trying to you know, to accomplish this stuff. Like the missions are far more diverse than they were in StarCraft 1.
That's cool.
Yeah, and the story's good. Like I like it because they have a whole bunch of these. Like there's like a little bit of a branch kind of thing in between it where you can select to like side with one technician over the other, and you get different units and stuff out of it.
Hmm?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been just been waiting for it to go on sale, but like Blizzard stuff generally doesn't.
yeah. Blizzard is the Nintendo with the PC.
Yeah, exactly. So I've just been waiting to be able to get StarCraft 2 for cheap, and then I'll probably play it. But,
Yeah, I never think to do anything with Blizzard games because I never have their BattleNet open up. Like it just speaks to the Steam hegemony or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a mod where you can do the campaign of Warcraft 3 co-op that me and Derek are going to go through. Like I have a sealed copy of Warcraft 3 that I've had for 5 years because I bought it when I first read about that, and then I just we haven't got around doing it because we've been playing other games. But I'm going to eventually we're going to play through that whole campaign co-op, and that's going to be really fun.
Nice.
Because
I
remember that being real good.
Yeah, Blizzard is like it's really cool. I bought Warcraft 3 when it came out, and I really only like it still works. Like you just enter that PC, you enter that download key into BattleNet, and then it downloads and runs on any machine. Like it's really admirable how much.
So does Warcraft 2, I think.
Yep.
Like for a long time, like the Warcraft 2 with all the expansions was still like a boxed product in stores, like way later than you would think. And was still active online, which just kind of speaks to it. Like they're really good. And like, I think that like when you talk about playing them for single player, like I play it for a different reason. It's like a different kind of fun. I'm not going to say that it's grand strategy or anything like that, because when you play those games single player, it's always an option just to build an overwhelming force.
Yeah.
And take over the enemy. But that's still really fun for me, even if it isn't, I'm not getting, every like the min-maxy clicks per minute optimization that people want. Like it's still just fun to like, okay, I'm going to plan my weird little village. I'm going to watch myself grow in power and then do some skirmishes and eventually just become this overwhelming force, Yeah. And that's really satisfying.
Yeah. Let's see here. Next question. This is just an update from Murph. StarCraft 2 is half off now, so I bought it, which prompted my StarCraft question.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I wonder what half off means, because I could say half off meaning 1999.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it means.
Yeah. Braden asked, this one's going to be real quick. Hey guys, what you drinking?
Oh, I just finished. What you drinking? I just finished coffee, but now I'm not drinking anything. I'm out.
Yeah. I'm having a summer ale because it is a very hot day. And it is 5 o'clock here.
Oh yeah.
No. But now that that's done, I have some water. So
yeah, I wish I had both water and ale and more coffee. But,
I was just picturing some kind of magical machine that dispensed all three. But
that's really all I need to drink, and then like a whiskey, bladder in the back that I can Capri Sun every once in a while.
Drinking like Canadian milk.
Yep. You go get a bag of milk, eh?
We had bags of milk when I was a kid. In school, actually, we didn't have cartons. They came in like actual. It was like a postcard size bladder that you had to pop it into. Which imagine giving a bunch of second graders access to easily projectile milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that was a Canadian thing, but I've never actually seen it. I'm looking at it now. Nice sacks of milk. Oh my God! If you search a bag of milk, there's an image that's a carton of milk fucking a bag of milk with a big human dick coming out of it, and it's really unnerving. I wasn't expecting that.
What kind of like? What are your safe search said? Oh shit! There we go.
Yeah,
that is some Rule 34 on dairy.
Yeah, I'll pop that in the chat for anybody who's interested.
Well, at least they look like they're both having fun.
No, they're having a great time. They're making the best love.
So,
good for them.
Let's see. Sean Franson writes, favorite free casual game if you have one.
I still play Plants vs. Zombies 2 from time to time.
Yeah. I like Super Stickman Golf.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that was free. That is a good game.
Yeah, the second one's free.
Okay.
I ended up you can pay them. You can buy the currency that lets you do the little chance machine to get more characters and perks and stuff like that. but the actual base model is free. And I would encourage people to give them money because that's a fantastic game.
Man, have you ever played a Smash Hit on iOS?
No, I have not.
That's really fun, and that's free. You pay if you want, like you really do want to pay for it because you get the ability to continue. It's a really, really, really fun take on an endless runner, where you move forward and you flick to toss. You move forward at a steady pace. You don't control it, and you flick to toss pinballs through glass panes. And just think about how satisfying that sounds. Is like
we've talked about this.
It's really good.
There was a game that was like a Pong kind of thing, right, or a Breakout that had the similar pinball on glass.
I don't know about that. I don't know what that is. This is different than that. This doesn't have anything. This isn't Breakout or Pong at all. It's definitely an endless runner.
Yeah, there's another one that you've recommended to me that was very similar to that, but I
like Breaking Glass. Like it is it's a good sound.
Yeah, I enjoy breaking a bottle.
Yeah, you don't get to do it very often.
No. When I was in college, we would break them on the porch until we realized that we would want to walk out onto the, I guess it's more like a deck or kind of thing. We'd want to walk out there in the morning, and we did it barefoot once.
Oh yeah, and you have to clean it up anyway.
Yeah, so we decided to start breaking them into trash cans. Yeah,
which is safer, but like loses some of the impact.
Well, you like when you break them into a trash can, you're like you don't do the like smashing them together. You just take it and you like fuck it straight down into the bottom.
That's what I assumed you were doing on your porch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we would take him and like hit him against the posts and stuff.
Gotcha. Who's Post? Yeah. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
What?
I said, who is Post? I'm just kidding.
Post isn't here anymore.
And the Post Merkel, huh?
The Post. Let's see. Braden asks, which Pokemon is cutest, Flareon or Pumpkaboo?
Flareon.
Yeah, Flareon. Come on, man.
Pumpkaboo is scary. Oh no, Pumpkaboo is really cute. I was thinking of the one that turns into.
Oh, you mean Gorgeist?
Yeah, I was thinking of Gorgeist, which I think Pumpkaboo turns into, but Pumpkaboo is still cute.
Pumpkaboo's cute. I don't like the whole thing. So we're going to take this and we're going to segue into Murph's question. Pumpkaboo evolves into Gorgeist. Gorgeist are malevolent, take delight in their victims' suffering. They are known to wander through town streets singing that curses their listeners. If you were forced to evolve into an evil ghost, how would you feel?
Did they both just ask that question without?
No. I think that people are using the Q&A form as kind of a chat.
Okay.
There's an awful lot of playing off of it, which is fun, but I also have to like check and make sure that I'm getting all of the related ones.
I like Flareon's very cute.
Yep. I've always liked the EV derivatives aside from the water one. I don't like Vaporeon a lot.
Yeah, Vaporeon. Yeah, because it has fins and scales and stuff. Like it would be the least fun one to pet.
He doesn't look huggable, right?
Yeah.
Like, even Jolteon is a little bit pokey. But Flareon, like I could see cuddling up with him in winter. Like,
oh yeah, like a hot hands.
Yep.
Like you just put a pocket flare on and each pocket of your coat.
Yeah, if you have some neck pain, you just drape him over you like a fox, like a fox, like a therapeutic fox.
Yeah. Yeah, Umbreon is pretty scary too.
Yeah, that's a darkness one. That was a gold silver era.
Yeah, and then the psychic one has two tails and a power gem in the middle of its forehead.
Asparian.
Yeah, which is kind of scary. But I'm gonna go Flareon, Eevee, and the Leaf one are probably the cutest ones.
Yeah, the presence of ghost type Pokemon. I'm sure this is something that's been tried over in a bunch of hacky internet video game comedy. But the presence of ghost Pokemon actually really unsettles me.
Yeah,
it's like if there were just angels running around.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm be surprised there isn't an angel Pokemon, given that there's one for everything.
Yeah,
like Helio or something like that. The and also they have scary descriptions too. Like they're all monsters. Like Gorgeist is a monster, super spooky. Mm-hmm. There's that one that's a doll. You know what I'm talking about? There's one that's like, and its story is like, this Pokemon was abandoned by its owner and has turned animate, or this doll was abandoned by its owner and turned into a Pokemon to seek revenge, or something like that. Like, is its story? It's like, oh shit. Like, things just got real. And there's those I think it's the Litwicks, those things that, or no, the balloon things that like steal children. They're like ghosts that look like balloons, and the idea is that they trick kids into grabbing the balloon and then they lead them out into the forest to die.
Like fucking Pennywise the clown.
Yeah, yeah. There's those things. I mean, like YouTube is like 30% top 30 creepiest Pokemon list, I bet.
Yeah.
But like it is something that is an internet cliche, but is actually true too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is pretty amazing that these things are like that.
Yeah, these are kids things. And again, I'm sure the other 70% of YouTube is made up of people who are like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to make fun of the Ghostbusters.
It's a proton pack. My Pokeball is a proton pack.
There's 100% of YouTube for you. You just go there and it's like, if you go to a pornography site, sometimes it'll say like I am male or female, and you'll click which option. If you go to YouTube, it's just like, Ghostbusters jokes about ghost Pokemon, top 30 list of ghost Pokemon. You just click which one you want, and that leads into separate YouTubes.
It's just two buttons.
Yep.
And then like there's no search capability. It's just a constant live stream.
Yeah.
It unites the nation.
and you just have them all open in different windows, and the top 30 list just is a cacophonous screeching of like preteen people from Bulgaria or whatever the fuck your miniature PDPs are. PewDiePie sounds like a Pokemon.
PewDiePie?
Yeah, PewDiePie. Like it'd be like Secret Slice evolves into PewDiePie or something like that. Like I'm trying to think of some kind of pie-based Pokemon.
Secret Slice sounds like a letter person. No, the S letter person was Super Socks. He was my favorite.
Yeah. Secret Slice was the hidden. There's a dark letter. There's an anti-alphabet. If you spell out the name of God in reverse in the anti-alphabet.
I'm picturing the Russian version of the letter people, the Cyrillic letter people. The backwards R comes to kill regular R and take his place.
It's like Muppets Most Wanted.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I am your R.
Is that movie any good?
It's great. It's really funny. It's surprisingly very funny.
I was
got shit on for some reason. Yeah.
What's that?
I said it got really shit on. But it was I remember like it was when I saw it, it was like the most I laughed in like a couple of weeks. Like it was very funny.
I was wary of it because Jason Segel wasn't involved anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And his enthusiasm really was what made the first one like really resonate for me, I guess. You can tell. What's that?
It has less heart. It's funnier.
Okay.
But it's legitimately funny, not like this is funny for a children's movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's legitimately very funny, and it doesn't hit like it's not like the hat trick of like Lego Movie where it's got heart and is funny.
Yeah,
it has a little bit of heart, but it's mostly just very funny, and the song's really good.
Okay, are the Concords still involved?
I think so. I think it was Brett, and I think he still did the songs for this one.
Okay.
Yeah, or no, yeah, Brett. Jermaine's in it, and has a role and does stuff, but I think it's still the Concords doing the music.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a chance. I kind of just dismissed it.
Yeah, and pretty much every time like the false Kermit like says something in a Russian accent about being Kermit the Frog, like it is very funny to me. Like just like, yes, it is time to start show, and then just like walks away, and everyone just kind of looks at each other. Every time
by Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that, except everybody's aware of it.
Okay. Huh. Let's see. This is one that we'll be excited about. Gregory Pollander writes, have you seen the Fallout 4 trailer? And if so, what's your reaction on it? I'm a huge Fallout fan, and having it take place in my backyard of Boston is as exciting as I know the city quite well.
Yeah, I'll put hundreds of hours into it. Like I'm very excited about it. I wish that I think it looks a lot like Fallout 3, which is kind of a bummer. Like I'd like to see them evolve. And for somebody who's not from Boston, I also feel a little bit like I would like to get away from the East Coast.
Yeah.
I know Boston is different than Washington, but it's still going to have that colonial stuff. You're going to have your Liberty Bells as opposed to your. That's not in Boston.
It's Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, but I mean, it's still going to be like that New England stuff. Whereas I would love to see them do like Chicago or something like that. A lot of people online are like, why don't they do Europe or something like that? And that seems a little bit crazy to me because part of Fallout is about a very specific American vision of the future.
Yeah.
Like you can't do a Fallout game and find like we'll never know what happened in Europe through gameplay because Fallout is about the retro 50s futurism of America in the 50s.
Mhm.
It is a really distinct. It's as American a game as Earthbound. Like it's a very American based game, but there are a lot of other parts of America. I'd love to see them touch on.
Yeah, I'd like to see them do like Point Lookout. Made me really hungry for them to do the South.
Yeah,
Actually,
I love that shit. Like just degenerate, like just like swamp people.
I mean, just like do straight up New Orleans. Honestly, like
Oh,
that.
that would
Like
be awesome.
that's what I would love to see.
Flooded, like in the post nuclear winter, like largely flooded.
Mhm.
It's like portions of it are underwater and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even just like not just making New Orleans itself, but like the surrounding area and stuff too.
Yeah, they always do that. Like they always have like a couple areas nearby.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things I was really happy about with New Vegas is just that like, oh, this feels very different
Mhm.
than Fallout 3 did.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the thing I worry about with Boston is I don't know how much. I've never been there, so forgive me. But I'm not sure how much like wilderness there is nearby. Like I liked 3 because it had a balance of okay, here's downtown, but also and like the waterfront and stuff. But also, if you went to the northwest, it was all pretty much like blasted flatlands and like suburbs and things like that.
Yeah, that exists in Boston.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 I don't know how I feel about it. Sounds like they're going to voice the main character. I don't know if that was just something they did for effect at the end of it. But people seem to be jumping to the conclusion that the main character is going to be voiced.
Yeah, I've heard both people say that it is just for the trailer and just voice, and I hope that it's not. It would be such a weird departure, though. Like I'm leaning towards. I don't think that they will.
Yeah.
That would be such a departure. Like think about everything you'd have to throw out. That's like quintessentially Fallout if you did that.
Mhm.
So like you would just, it would be really, really hard to do the kind of like the way they treat the endings. And then you'd have a character who would have like the way you'd have to do it would be like Mass Effect, like where your moral decisions would be funneled into 3 like troughs, as opposed to being able to be like emergent and make it up in your head.
Yeah. Or like specific builds, like I enjoy, like something I really like about New Vegas is that they lean in on, you can use a strength check to pass this particular thing. And just the way that blows out the possibility tree on any kind of interaction. I cannot imagine supporting that with a voice.
Yeah. And I don't think they'll dial that back because that was so, and then like the low intelligence, like the way that, that's like a Fallout tradition and they need to keep that in there for some options at the very least. Like, and as much as it would be fun to hear like somebody voice that stuff, like it would just be a lot. I just can't see them doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they may surprise us though, because like I'm amazed when I play Dragon Age Inquisition, at least when I, the 2 hours or so that I played of it, the character creation, the fact that each individual race and gender has multiple different voices you can assign to it.
Yeah. They put a lot of voice into it, but it's not down to individual like checks and the like. Yeah. And also Dragon Age Inquisition, like I'm probably 15 hours into that or so. Mm-hmm. And like it doesn't have as many situations that have the kind of complexity that Fallout situations do, where it'd be hard to swear with a voice. Like in Fallout, like, oh, I can do this mission for this guy and do the good path and then just decide to kill him in the end. And then in my mind, I can just be like, oh, I'm playing this character who's like a quiet psychopath. Yeah. And there'd be no voice option to support that. Like it would clang with the voice when I agreed to do it, and seem like a nice guy.
It's a decision you have to make at the start, right?
Yeah, exactly. It would funnel you.
Yeah.
And Dragon Age is really kind of a simple game in that respect. Like the moral choices that you're making in Dragon Age really are the BioWare classic style. Yeah. Here's the point where you're making a decision, and Fallout is more emergent and like you keep more of it in your head, I think.
Yeah. What do you think of the character design in there?
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. Like I like the way the people look. Yeah, I mean the trailer, like I'm curious to see more footage. I want to see more in-game stuff.
Me too.
Because the footage for the trailer also like tons of stuff that was pre-apocalypse, and a lot of people are like, "What if you spend time?" And I was like, "What do you like? Only one person can go back in time and stop the nuclear war that predicates the entire series." Like, no, Fallout is that gets away from the core of what it's about. Like, you don't want to spend time before the apocalypse. Like, yes, it would be different, but that's a different game. Like, Fallout is about post-apocalypse that's based on the retro 50s future.
Yeah.
And that's what the game is about. Like that's really core. So a lot of the stuff, I guess that's a long way of saying like a lot of the stuff they showed in the trailer seems superfluous or like aside the theme,
Mhm.
and it was just kind of made to like look pretty and get people hyped. And a lot
Yeah.
of that hype was supposed to be for the location, I think.
Yeah, I
So,
mean the fact that like people were able to triangulate exactly where Vault 111 is
yeah,
by by looking at the landmarks around it.
yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, just if there's any fan base that's going to do that, it's Fallout.
Yep.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, I'm curious. Like, that's one of the ones I'm looking forward to. That and the Dishonored 2 announcement.
Oh
I
yeah.
think like this is probably the most excited I've been about an E3 in a couple years.
What do you want to see? What tack do you want to see them take with the Dishonored 2?
I don't really know. I think I'm along for the ride, and I only say that because I haven't played the DLC yet, where you play as Kiefer Sutherland's character.
Yeah,
That's who voiced him, right?
Michael Madsen.
Michael Madsen. Okay.
I couldn't tell if you were just being Flip.
No, I was not being.
Play as Dowd.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, I like Dunwall enough that I'd like to see different parts of it, but it's weird the way that the first one ends. I don't know like where they can go like narratively with it. So everything's kind of gonna be a surprise for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of think that you'd have to, like, because the story of the main character in that game, I think is pretty much is done.
Mhm.
I wouldn't really want to see it continued, but you have in that universe, you have the outsider
Yeah.
as like this awesome force of like, I find people in shitty situations and give them access to superpowers to get revenge. Like,
Mhm.
I would love just another kind of like novella set in that universe with that setup.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to see the Empress. I don't need to see Dowd. I don't need to see any of that stuff. Just like somebody else who's in a tough situation where they could be tempted to use power and then reinforce that, like, hey, you're the player, do shitty things because we're making it really fun for you.
Mhm.
Like, that's the Faustian bargain that like the character and the player is making.
Yeah.
That's why I would love to see that. And I would like to see a little bit more of that world, even though I love Dunwall. It's just like it almost had to be a prequel because Dunwall is,
Done.
kind of fucked. Yeah. Dunwall done.
Yeah. Well, they allude to like different places. Like he's coming back from a different kingdom at the beginning of it, right?
Yes. Yeah, he's going to go get help with the plague. So there are definitely other parts of the world that probably mirror like, other parts of the world during that Victorian, kind of time.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about where they could go with it, like, from a gameplay sense. Like, they can probably do more with, like, the way you visualize the world and the way you kind of visualize stealth. But it seems like, in terms of, like, what you actually do, in terms of the blinking and things like that, they really made it feel satisfying at the front. I can't think of too many problems they could address, aside from maybe, like, how about this? How about if they made, like, a nemesis system, like from, what you call it, that Middle Earth?
Shadow of Mordor.
Shadow of Mordor, yeah. If they I wonder what they could do if they brought that in. Actually,
yeah, like I think there'll probably be some kind of twist. Like, but I'm also willing to accept that if they don't, it's okay.
Yeah,
like that game, the DLC were short enough to where like I know it was one of my favorite things, so I still want more.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be neat. Like if they add that kind of, they'll keep in the blink power and they'll update it to be like it is in the DLC. Where you can, change, jump and change direction and blink do the double blink thing that you can do in the DLC to get around to better places. But like just more cool powers and shit, I would be okay with. And then like some kind of nemesis system or some kind of added system like that, I think would be cool too. As long as it kind of controls the same way, and I want to have the same kind of like freedom of movement.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind to turn into literally like Arkham or Shadow Mordor, where I'm kind of like tied to my environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to like get up next to something and stick to it for cover.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things that like when I like the Arkham games, but they do play kind of stiff in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are really precise and stiff in a way that like feels very different than Dishonored, where you just kind of have this weird absolute freedom that like actually reminds me of like old FPSs.
Yeah.
Like you don't actually get that all that often in games anymore, and I want to keep that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about it. I think that Dark Souls 3 and Fallout 4 are going to make this kind of what I'm more willing to pay attention to this year.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Shovel Knight DLC before too long. Shovel Knight DLC before too long.
Oh yeah,
where you get to play through the whole game as Plague Knight with different bosses.
It was already out.
No, if it is, I've got something to do tonight. I didn't think so though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a couple more questions here. Dave M asks, have you guys played Kid Chameleon yet?
I played Kid Chameleon before, like when I fucked around with ROMs, but I don't remember very much about it. Is that the one where he's always wearing a hat? He has different helmets?
Yeah, it's where you kind of absorb your enemies a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember very much about it, but I have played it.
Yeah. For being the Genesis trash monster, or trash child, sorry, not trash monster, of the pair, I did not play that when I was young, so I don't have an awful lot of fondness or recollection for it. It's one that people have talked about in the past. Like I think during one episode previously, we were kind of talking around it. We were vaguely describing it without knowing the name, and a bunch of people chimed in saying, "Hey,
Oh yeah.
this is what you were talking about, and also you should play it because it's good."
I've read both things. I've read that it's good and it's like really ambitious and neat, and then also that like it's got some old game bullshit
Yeah.
going on as well. I'm sure both are kind of true.
Yeah. I mean, so hypothetically, like for the show, right? Like if we assume that this is where Dave M is kind of taking us, playing Demon's Crest actually like made me think of not like similar games on the Genesis, because I don't really think there's anything that's similar to it, but kind of platformers of of a kind of that, like, or of a similar scope that I played on the Genesis. And I like two possibilities came to mind if we were looking for something simple like that in the future. Have you played either Rystar or oh gosh, Dynamite Heady?
I played Rystar before.
Yep.
I like Rystar. I remember it being a little collecty. Like, isn't it like there are lots of like coins and little assets and stuff to get? Or am I thinking of the wrong game? Okay, I might be thinking
that's there, but it's Mario kind of stuff where you're just getting it to like get lives.
Okay,
it's kind of showing you lines that you need to take. It's by the Sonic team.
Yeah, it's because I played that. It was on the PlayStation 2 Genesis collection, so I have played that before and I remember liking it.
Some of my favorite music on the Genesis, actually. Yeah. How about Dynamite Heady? That's made by, I think, Treasure.
Yeah, that's Treasure. I have not played Dynamite Heady.
Yeah.
Someday I think we should do a Treasure game, just because they are really neat.
Yeah.
And I mean, the obvious one would be Gunstar Heroes.
But we've always had that one in our back pocket for several years now.
Yeah.
Kind of akin to that, we've got Sean writing in to ask, what's your process for determining games for WoF? Is there a method, or do you just choose games that you want to play or replay?
So we have a big list of suggestions and things that we've come up with.
Yeah.
That we categorize. And then we kind of just strategically choose based on like impact, like how long it's going to take and how taxing it will be. And then making sure we're not doing things that are too similar next to each other.
Yeah.
Too long. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds right. Really, it's just a matter of looking at, like, I think there's like that last part rings true. Like, LA Noire comes up because that one sounds like it's going to be good for a, good for a discussion. And it's also something that I know that I've wanted to replay for a while. So that kind of like influences a little bit of like what we bring to the table. Usually it's something that we both have played. Can you think of any game that we've done that neither of us had played before we brought into it?
Oh, tons of them. Because we did, we did Star Control 2.
Oh yeah.
We did Masters of Orion 2. We did Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. I thought you played Sacrifice before.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess I did. I did play a couple levels of it. We've definitely done things where we've come in fresh.
Yeah.
Based on reputation. What's true is that we don't do that as often now. So the second part of the question, where it's like, do you just choose stuff you want to play? Like has become more true.
Yeah.
And sometimes I worry about that, like whether that gets boring when we just kind of like if it just leads to us being positive in a way that gets boring, or if it just ends up being more self-serving than that. So I like the idea of doing more like just kind of, oh, this is a weirdo thing that's interesting. I've never played it. Let's give it a shot. But it just, it's hard to want to do that while you're balancing other life stuff, I think.
Well, you don't want to commit yourself to playing 15 hours of something sight unseen, right?
Yeah. If it's not going to be, or even if it ends up being good and it ends up being like 25 hours or 30 hours or something, sight unseen, So, I mean, I think we will do more things like that in the future that are like weirdo off things that like we neither of us have played, but for the most part, I think one of us has played this stuff, played the games that we do. And can recommend it, or at least say like, hey, this is interesting to talk about, and not like pulling teeth.
Yeah, I think that like that's pretty valuable too. Like especially if one of us has played it and the other one hasn't. Like we have we have this visual novel poll coming up,
Mm,
and I've played all four of them and can kind of help you out, just like you help me
yeah.
out with some of the stuff. Like it's definitely it's good, especially as we get more popular and more scrutiny comes towards us for saying wrong ass shit.
Mm,
Um, it's good if one of us comes in and is able to act as kind of a guide through it a little bit.
yeah, yeah. And I played 3 of those games that are on
Okay,
the visual novel thing, just not as deeply as you have, I
yeah.
guess.
Which one hadn't you played?
Hotel Dusk.
Okay,
Yeah, never played Hotel Dusk.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, that's mainly the thing, and then mostly it is a huge deal to make things like, and you could, if you pay, I don't blame anybody for not paying attention to this, but if you took a look at our patterns, like you'll notice like heavy games always have a light game before them.
Hmm.
Demon's Crest, which takes 4.5 hours. Like I beat it and didn't use save states until the end,
Hmm.
and beat it in about 5 hours with deaths. Is right before LA Noir, which is a 25 to 30 hour game,
Right.
that doesn't really bear splitting into 2 episodes.
Mhm.
So you're going to see that kind of thing. And then the visual novel thing, which those games aren't really long, but at least with 999, you had to beat it multiple times.
Yeah.
The right before that, we're putting Spider-Man, which isn't the shortest game in the world, but is also super breezy. So like that's an issue of like tone being lighter and
Mhm.
quicker than the actual game. So we try to contrast those things, partly because we want to make a break for ourselves, and then also so we can kind of double up. Like I'm already playing LA Noir, even though I beat Demon's Crest really early, even though we haven't recorded the episode,
Yeah.
so I could get ahead on LA Noir and not have to play it on a deadline and rush myself through it and maybe have that impact my opinion.
Yeah. And we've gotten better about that too.
Yeah,
Better about not rushing to the end of it, because I always feel guilty when that colors my perception.
yeah, yeah. And you can hear it. Like there are episodes where you can definitely hear that's what happened.
Yeah.
And very rarely like I will choose to give up on something instead of doing that.
Mhm.
But that is a weird, that is a part, like when I've tried to explain that to Elizabeth, that like I don't, I try to finish it. She's always just like, well, if you're there to criticize it and you get bored and stop playing it, like that's a really valid point for criticism. Like, why do you do that? And it's kind of a good point,
Mhm.
like it does, like if literally can't do something anymore, like why do I push past it if I'm not enjoying it? But I still feel the need to be able to like talk about the stuff all the way
Yeah.
through. So I can kind of see both sides. And
Mhm.
that's why there's only like 3 or 4 games I haven't finished for the show.
Yeah. Can count them on one hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing we do is we have a couple of like tentpole genres that we generally do about the same time every year. And this has become more apparent with the polls that we do.
Mhm.
Oftentimes the polls are around something that we really, so some kind of genre that we really like to play. But even before those, we would have a place for those to kind of fit.
Yeah.
Um,
Except for this year.
oh
This
yeah,
year, wacky polls. Or
wacky.
this summer moving on, wacky polls, and we're choosing the standards.
Yeah.
We choose the horror game in October.
Yes.
You guys choose the first person shooter or whatever.
Yeah.
We choose the poll thing for that.
And well, that'd be interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
I was like the shooter thing. I was thinking about it, and I almost want to. I mean, we don't do enough polls for this, but I was thinking about it. Almost makes sense to break that down into like a modern and like we could stand to do one of the more advanced 2.5D
Mhm.
like shooters because it's such a huge genre,
yeah, like
and those games are pretty interesting. Like you play something like Rise of the Triad or Duke
Doom
3D
2.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Doom 2 or like any like those games are interesting. Like
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, they're definitely different things. Like
yeah,
post Half-Life, pre Half-Life
yeah,
would be
yeah.
the way to go.
Because we've done Half-Life, and then the other hand, you'd put something like you'd put your Fears and Halo and the like.
Mhm.
So
Man, doing Halo would be a death march. I really don't
yeah,
want to do Halo for the show.
no, I've
Gears
never
of
played
War.
it.
I
Yeah,
love to do Gears of War.
yeah, we throw that in there instead of Gears of War Fear. Modern shooting games. I mean, we've done a modern shooting game recently, but I'm just saying like a 2.5D shooter and a modern shooter game shouldn't be in the same pool necessarily. They're so different.
Yeah. I wonder, like, so let's just throw something in there like that I've wanted to play, haven't played, but would like to play. Would like Clive Barker's Undying fit into the
Oh,
into
sure.
the two? Like that would be one that would definitely go on there, I think.
I'm interested in that game, but I almost think that would fit when like I mean we don't do enough polls for this, but like almost a third shooter category with like Stalker and maybe like Metro or something like weird, like more not RPG, but like more RPG elements and stuff. Because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Undying has, if not RPG elements, has more to it than that. Like items that are weird. It's a more exploration based. I don't know that to be true. I just know that by reputation.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. I don't know. I need to wrap this up relatively soon because I'm recording those damn Ross kids.
oh, sure.
So let's see here. We've got one from Dave M saying, I just started wearing glasses, and when choosing my first frames, I was totally overwhelmed. How did you guys pick your frames? Is it purely a cosmetic choice?
Mine's purely a cosmetic choice,
Mhm.
and I just went with the ones that insurance provided me. So I just chose ones I liked
Mhm.
that were available for free for insurance.
I gotcha. Yeah, I did. This is not a paid ad, but it's a popular online glasses provider that you've heard about on podcasts. And I did like their try-ons. I did a couple of rounds, and this is a cosmetic choice. Like I've got the brown fade at the bottom. If you're watching the videos, you can kind of see how it turns like tan. I like that because it matches my coloration a little bit. But mostly, I've got a gigantic head and a pretty big face, and these are the biggest frames that they have. So without wanting to get something that's like way too tiny, that'll look tinier on my noggin, that is a similar practicality. And also like it's a practical concern too, because if everything stops like right here halfway and cuts into your field of view, that's bad as well. So
Yeah. So choose something that fits your head.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So I would say don't entirely trust yourself when you're going to like look at those. Bring somebody who can like look at it for you, even if you're just texting pictures to somebody, somebody whose opinion you trust. But also don't entirely trust them. If you're like in love with a set of frames, then just go for it.
Yeah, and don't sweat it if you are.
Yeah.
Like this is gonna sound like an exaggeration. It's not. I don't think anyone doesn't look better with glasses.
Right.
I think literally every single human being on Earth looks better with glasses. I can't think of anybody who looks worse with them. Like I just think it's like it breaks up the face.
Yeah.
In a way that's like really appealing
to
me.
Like this is an elementary school.
Exactly.
What's that?
Yeah, I just say exactly.
Yeah, we're all looking at screens, 20 hours a day. Our eyes are turning into shit. We're going to be a generation of blind people. So like this is the way that it goes. So like don't sweat it. And like there is some anxiety. Like I get anxious about it because, when I'm going to get new glasses, I'm going to get this exact same set. Because you're going like it's picking out a new pair is like trying out a new face a little bit. But again, don't sweat it. Like going from no glasses to sunglasses, nobody cares. It's going to be cool, and you're probably going to look better.
Yeah, and also like even that, if you have to pick out new pairs, like you'll get over that anxiety. I'm not trying to minimize your anxiety about it, but like when it is like you do look different, but you eventually just get used to it. You also get used to how it feels and get used to just putting them on and stuff. Like all that stuff that will feel like a chore initially.
Yeah,
becomes like a second skin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we've got a final question. Oh, go ahead. What?
So don't get glasses made of skin.
Oh yeah. No.
Like, don't.
we would discourage that.
Yeah. And don't get them just to implant the lenses, like into your cheekbone and under your eyebrow, so that your actual flesh is the frame, and you look like Jensen.
Yeah.
Like,
don't be a Jensen.
Yeah. Don't be a Jensen. Jensen. Like Richard. Jensen.
Oh, it sounded like somebody was rustling in my window, but that was just the rain.
It was Pritchard.
I still haven't played that game. I've played it, but I haven't like beaten it.
Oh, you should. Like
I know, right?
Are you playing the director's cut?
I've got the director's cut.
But you're playing the original version?
No, I haven't played any of it.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you started it, but you haven't finished it.
No, I've started it. I started the regular version on like a console, and then I picked it up when it was on sale for like $7.
Good.
On the director's cut.
It's so much better. It's a really good game. You'll really like it.
I know. Like I love the style. Like looking at it, it's beautiful. I like how it handled stealth when I played it. But
it is one of the best. It's like up there with it's not. I mean, not quite as good, but it's up there with like remake as far as like the best revisions of a game, like Scholar and remake, and the director's cut just adds a lot and fixes a lot of things.
Nice.
So it's very good.
We've got one final question, and we can do the quick version of it because we've answered it before. Go back and listen to previous Duckfeed lives on the stream. to get the answer. But Greg Polliner says, really been enjoying your podcast, and I haven't heard this come up yet. So I'd love to hear how you two met and became friends, and how the idea of doing podcasts together started.
Yeah. So that is, and you can also hear that in the Watch Out for Interactions.
Yes.
50th episode. No, that wasn't 50th episode.
It was like between 50 and 51.
Yeah. That so that was a couple years ago. But yeah, the and it's like we'll answer. I don't want to say like, hey, just go back and listen to like 6 hours of stuff to find the answer for through Something Awful message board through a podcast workshop thread.
Yeah.
And just kind of became mutual admirers of each other's work. And Kole had done some video game podcasts, and I was doing non-video game podcast and wanted a chance to talk about video games. And when I would listen to the level, or the previous version of the level, Kole would bring up RPGs and no one knew what he was talking about. Those other guys on the show, like, not necessarily RPGs, but like I remember specifically like Breath of Fire, like you're playing a Breath of Fire game, and nobody really could talk to you about it. So we had this idea of doing a retro game show.
Yeah.
And then it was more popular than anything either of us had ever done, by like an order of magnitude many times over.
Yeah.
So, and then it just kind of expanded from there.
Yeah. So we started with that one show. It was based on a tweet. I still have that tweet. It was like a direct message. Hey, want to do a half-hour show? Our first episode was 90 minutes.
Yep, exactly. And it's only gone up. And then second show was Bonfireside Chat. That came before Abject Suffering.
Yeah, they were the same. Like we had a fit of activity in 2013. Both January of 2013 was Bonfireside Chat and Abject Suffering, and both of those kind of sprung from a desire to talk about different stuff. We were talking a lot about Dark Souls on our other shows. Wanted a home for that.
Yep. And then Abject Suffering, because we did through an anniversary special or something like that, we did like we gave each other bad games to play thing. So we talked about, and that kind of sprang from that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, just mutual admirers of each other's work. Something Awful has been a tremendous force for good for us. And it kind of like stemmed from there. Yeah.
Even though like there are some dark corners of Something Awful, like stay on the gaming podcast thread.
Yeah.
And, be careful in other places.
Yes. So. Be mindful. Be mindful of where you're going.
It's still an internet forum.
Yeah.
Even if it is a good internet forum.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's it for all the questions. Thank you, everybody, for responding. I was a little bit worried at the start, just because there weren't very many, but you guys came out in force, and it was very good. So thank you.
Yeah, and the next time this comes up, it'll be with some more notice, and maybe at a time that more people are able to make it and stuff. And appreciate your patience and putting this off. I take responsibility for that because of skin and knees and spelling bees.
I wonder what like a college level spelling bee would look like.
Just like taking an ice cream cone in both hands and skating down the quad with my best girl. College life. So
somebody actually pronounces a G at the end of a word, like, oh, we're just hanging, and then the entire quad lights up.
Yep. Goddamn queen descends from her throne of bones.
I forgot to write that down as a title. All right, so I'm going to end the show. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.